Howdy folks, Rich but not famous here with another poetry walkabout busking video type thing, and this episode we're going to look at presentation and sight awareness. So the first time I busked poetry was a few summers ago and I was in Falmouth. I was totally flat broke because I just finished working as a fundraiser. I had spent all my money on petrol getting down there and was still waiting for my final paycheck. So I decided to go into town and fundraise with my own work, which is obviously what this whole series has been all about. I went into town with a menu, a money pouch, shorts and t-shirt, and made £60 in about 6 hours. When I go out in what I call full regalia, I can make £100 in 4 hours. In busking psychology, people are more likely to give if they can see you coming first. Think about musicians who take banners and CDs out there, making themselves presentable and widening their stage. If they start listening to you, it's only because they've seen you first. So you have to be as broad as them. However, going out and being brightly dressed certainly grabs people's attention, but we must also be mindful of our client. When I'm dressed too loudly in the street sometimes, I can be performing for someone and other people walking by can take photos or videos, and that can really interrupt the intimacy of what we're trying to create here. Ultimately, this is a practice that you can do however you're dressed, but people stop for smart. So by all means, experiment with different costumes and go out in a Superman suit if you want, but also just be aware of how it can be coming from the other side. So just respect your client's perspective of you as well. As already mentioned in etiquette, there can be a number of times where it can be rude or dangerous to ask someone to stop. So avoid people crossing the road at a traffic light, for instance, or cycling as well. And also, obviously, remember to be courteous around other buskers and people who you're also working in the street. If you happen to stop someone on like a narrow pathway and it's difficult for other people to walk past, then invite them into a space nearby that is out of the way of the flow of pedestrians. You won't annoy anyone and your performance won't get interrupted. Use your own judgment when it comes to approaching people at cafes and benches. As a fundraiser, I was trained never to approach them, as not everyone wants to hear what you have to say. On the other hand, if you walk past a restaurant late at night and there's a couple having a romantic dinner, fetch or ask them. You'll also find that you'll develop your audio environmental awareness will start raising itself as well. So if you're performing and there's a car driving past you that means that you have to raise your voice but it's getting too loud to the point that you can't be heard by your client, then stop. Note where you are. Wait for the sound to pass. And then resume once it's gone. You have a trade, and that is useful when it comes to being around other traders. It's landed me shoe sponsorship, coffee, gigs, and clothes, and so much more. Remember to offer your work free of charge for people in service, store holders, market traders, because you never know where it can go. In addition, you can make great friends if you bring all of your loose change to especially food markets as well, food traders, because they're just getting notes all the time. They're really appreciative for it. Festivals can be a mixed bag depending on what kind of festival it is, but so far I've found that going around the living vehicles sections are really great sites to work. People really relish the idea that the festival is coming to them, and they might get 2, 3, 4, 5 poems of you. You could end up doing a set sometimes. It's wise at a festival, never do this near main stages. I mean, I'm a very loud person and I can compete with the stage, but not for long. Stay away from anywhere that's going to put a stress on your voice. But if you're wandering to and between stages and it's fairly quiet and people can enjoy what you have to offer, then yeah, go for it. For door-to-door site awareness, I'll signpost you to Rowan McGabe, the door-to-door poet again. I don't have experience with that, but he does, so any questions, then feel free to fire them at him. And for the street typist stuff, again, check Chris out. I'm not familiar with this mode, but they are. So the exercise for this episode is to try everything we've learned so far, but go out and think about costume. Go out and see how differently that will affect people's perceptions of you and how many more or less people you might stop. So that's all for this episode. Thanks very much for listening again, folks. Links in the description, social media, website. Join me for the last episode of this series, which will be self-care.